So, welcome to the practice. I'm taking a block here. If you have a block at home, please have one by your side as well. We will maybe need that early and late in the class, so leave it quite close to your mat. And then we will start lying down on the backs. So when you're ready, lie yourself down onto your back. You can have any type of cushioning that you might need, even a bolster under the knees. What I would love you to try is touch the soles of the feet together with your knees bent and let the legs fall apart while you keep the soles of your feet together. One block might not be enough. If you feel a little bit of tightness around the hips, discomfort in this position, before you dismiss it entirely, I suggest to pop cushions or blocks underneath the knees and see if with a little bit of support, this posture actually is accessible for you. If it's still very uncomfortable, and I'm really talking not only hips, but also lower back, then please change the position as required. And you can extend the legs out long at any time if you feel the need to. Now, when you're lying down like this, I'd also encourage you to place your hands down onto your lower abdomen and starting to connect a little bit more with yourself through the touch, as well as through the stillness, and also through the sensations that you might be able to feel in this moment within this posture. As you're allowing yourself to stay lying on your back for a little while, I will introduce the topic for this week. As we missed last week, I was working with the first of the three gunas. The gunas are states in which we are as in our human existence on this earth. And these states are, the first one is a fiery state, very determined, oftentimes ends up being stressed, maybe an over-warrior, someone who's got a very fluctuating mind, but that mind can easily attach to outcomes that we call rajasic. We will have a few rajasic movements in our practice because it simply means movement and keeping going. But we will mainly focus on another guna, which is tamas. And tamas is often seen as darkness. It is seen as ignorance. People that easily fall into the trap of any type of addiction. And it is that procrastination state where we're feeling so heavy we don't want to do anything. Now that sounds all very negative, and the other one didn't sound too tempting either. Neither of these two stages actually are something that we lean toward. It is the outcome that if we balance ourselves out using maybe these two states, for example, if we're overly active, practicing what we do today, more tamasic grounding practice, and that is also the positive aspect of it, groundedness and steadiness. So while you're resting here, your eyes might be closed. You're feeling your tummy underneath your hands. Start to breathe into the hands, into the very lower part of your abdomen, and feel that rising and falling underneath your hands. As you inhale, the belly is expanding. And you might choose now on the out breath to draw your lower abdomen towards your tailbone, getting a general lift and the activation of Mula Bandha, root lock. On the inhale, let that release. On the exhale, gently switch it back on. And keep going with that activation and relaxation of Mula Bandha, which always includes our pelvic floor, makes us feel quite strong. And if this feels all right and good, you might start to expand your breath more towards full yogic breathing as you let the breath expand the belly, but then lift up through your ribs into your collarbones. And as you contract the abdomen, squeezing the air out from the lower belly up towards your collarbones. Any of you familiar with the Jai technique that might be added to this practice, the light constriction in the throat for the oceanic sound. But allow yourself to still inhale, the belly is relaxing. On the out breath, the lower abdomen towards your tail. Working with that on the base energy that allows us to feel grounded and stable. One more breath like that. You can then continue the breathing practice, but let go of Mula Bandha activation. And you might use your hands to guide your knees up. As you might step your feet down onto the ground, the body is relaxing. And you will take your feet out a little bit wider and let your knees fall in. So you're getting that gentle release through the pelvis, lightly inwardly rotating and allowing the hips, the back to ease. As you then separate the knees, again, take your feet back into hip distance. If it is okay for your back, you can also extend both legs out long. On your next out breath now, bring your right knee towards your chest and give that a good squeeze. Inhale here. On the exhale, lifting your nose up towards the knee. And then releasing the head back down. Opposite hand touches the kneecap. Right arm falls away from the body. On an out breath, guiding your knee across for a twist. Careful, the body isn't that warm yet. So noticing your personal current state for this practice. This is a good indicator. If you are still struggling to bring your knee down towards the ground, it's likely that the opposite shoulder has lifted away from the mat. I encourage you here to apply a little bit more tamasic energy and actually let your shoulders stay resting on the floor and allowing yourself to ease into this twist rather than forcing, which would be the Rajasic idea of actually achieving a certain outcome from this movement. As you roll onto your back, let your leg extend up towards the ceiling, pointing your toes. Your arms are resting down, the palms might be down. You can open the arms out wide. And as you inhale, let your leg open to the side. And as you're exhaling, swinging it across. No more containing yourself. You can let the legs swing wildly from side to side if this is what your practice is like. But you could also control the movement if you feel the stability serves you much better. Keep swinging the leg from side to side for a couple more times. And eventually center the leg as you're flexing the foot. Inhale. On the exhale, lift your nose up towards your knee. Take a hold of the leg as you bring it in. And hold on to the leg while you're lowering the body down. Now first stretch into the leg. And let your hands touch down to the mat, maybe even slide under the lower abdomen. Engage once more lower abdomen towards your tail and breathe out to lower. And of course, I meant the buttocks where the hands are resting under. As you relax the leg, release your hands, give the legs a little shake, or just simply relax for a moment. Noticing the differences between the side of doing and that of resting. And with your next exhalation, bringing your left knee into the chest. Give this one a good squeeze. Notice the sensations, especially around the hip flexors. And with your next out breath, lift your nose up towards the knee. And then slowly release the upper body down. Opposite hand to the kneecap, left arm falls away from the body. And with the exhalation, come into the twist. The trick here is that we're neither feeling stuck to the floor, nor we're feeling as if we're aiming for an outcome and going somewhere with force. So finding the middle ground here where the shoulders are soft, you're still in a twist. As you roll onto your back, release both hands down, extend the leg upward and point your toes. Grounding down through the palms of your hands. On the inhale, open your leg to the side. On the exhale, swing it across. And then keep doing so. Inhaling, open, exhaling, swinging across. As you keep going like this, you can go wild or with more control, your choice. Noticing at all times, especially when there are choices, which ones you're taking, if they are of general active nature or more passive, or if you've got a good mix between what you choose. Then leave your legs centered, flex the foot, sole of the foot shining up, on and out, by nose towards the knee and taking a hold of the leg. Keep the hold of the leg as you lower your upper body for a deeper stretch. Let your hands come flat down and maybe slide underneath the lower buttocks, lower tummy to tail. On the exhalation, lowering the straight leg down very slowly. As you release the leg down, remove the hands from underneath the body. And with your next exhalation, bringing both knees in. You can have them close or wide, absolutely your choice, just following your needs. And maybe rocking the body from side to side. A light yet gentle stimulation of the back. If you are feeling a little bit more tamasic today, maybe it's cold where you are, and you're feeling like you'd really like to stay snuggled up, you might roll over onto your side. And if you feel more active, you could start a few rounds of rocking forwards and back until you come to sit. And then from sitting, taking your legs out and coming onto all fours. Now, on all fours, I suggest to take a block and place that in front. Now, you might have a book here too if you don't have a block. Taking your knees apart and placing the knees underneath the hips. Resting the elbows onto the block. If this is too much for you, please just extend your arms onto the floor. After heart melting posture, if you're on your block, bend your elbows, place the hands behind the head, and then let your chest start to become heavy. Please make sure that your hips are stuck over your knees, even if you need to adjust. I will remove myself from my shoulder But if your shoulders are very happy here, please stay within the posture, letting your chest expand downwards, down towards the ground as you're resting there. Allowing yourself to melt the heart. I will explain why I've chosen to bring the heart opener into this practice. It is the perfect antidote for rajas as well as tamas. When we are in a state of either rush, stress, or ignorance and heaviness, we apply the energy of the heart to ourselves, this idea of unconditional love and compassion. That is when we're drifting carefully towards harmony and balance, which is sattva or sattvic state of being. In the end, this is our ultimate goal. But without rajas and tamas, we wouldn't even know how to be in harmony and balance. So my suggestion is to embrace all of the three states or the three gunas, but become more aware so we can apply that control and balance ourselves. As you release your hands and step them back onto the mat, you might remove the block, unless you find in thread the needle, you would like it as a cushion for the head, which is where we go. So with your next inhale, lift your right arm, open your gaze, and with the out breath, thread the needle. Come to rest down onto your shoulder and onto your ear. You can keep your left arm snug down onto the mat quite comfortably. And again, we're playing more on the heavy side. You might extend your arm forward instead, if that feels good, or gently wrap it behind your back, if that is a good option. Allowing that little twist of your upper back and the gaze with steadiness along the ground. As we slowly release, landing your hand back down if you've moved it. Use the hand to rise up onto all fours. And we'll change sides as you inhale, lifting your left arm. On the exhale, reach your arm under, rest to your shoulder and to your ear. Don't assume that what you've done on the other side is exactly right here, but you might choose to extend the arm forward. You might choose to wrap the arm gently behind your back. Same as on the other side, keep your gaze along the floor so your neck is safe, head grounded. One more breath. And then replacing the hand onto the mat and lifting up onto all fours once more. Keep a spread of your fingers as you ground your hands down about shoulder distance, but slightly forward out underneath from the shoulders. The knees are stuck underneath the hips. And with an inhalation, let your elbows soften, your tail and your gaze lift, cat and cow. As you exhale, straighten the arms deeply round into the cat. Inhale, let your elbows soften, tail lift, gaze come up. And as you're exhaling, the arms are straightening, the back's rounding. Inhaling, lifting tail and gaze. Exhaling, deeply rounding. Go with the flow of your breath for another 2. And then holding your last one in a rounded cat position when ready. Maybe even tucking the toes under. You're always welcome to practice on all fours. But if you would like to extend, raise the knees away from the ground and come into downward facing dog. Starting in teeny weeny steps to walk the feet forward toward the short edge of your mat. Take a half lift as you arrive here, inhaling, and fold down as you're breathing out. Engage lower abdomen to tail while you exhale to curl up into standing. Take the shoulders a little bit back and down as you come to stand here at the back end of your mat. Palms might be open. Landing the feet at about hip distance, or the big toes together, outer edges of your feet are aligning. With the inhalation, raising the right arm. On the exhalation, come into a side bend. Now we're playing on that heavier side today, but gently move the lower arm. Let it lift and wiggle a bit, feeling the gentle movement in the shoulders before you allow the arm to just hang there heavily. And there's the option of bringing your hip out the other way and actively reaching with your fingertips across. On the inhale, lifting the arms, the gaze. As you exhale, let the other arm drop down. As you come into your side bend, the lower arm is gently shaking, that soft movement into the shoulder or the other joints of the hand, the fingers. And as you then make that arm heavy, maybe encouraging the hip out the other way and actively reaching across for this side bend. On your inhale, raising the arms. On the exhale, releasing the arms. As we bring to center our left foot, crossing in front with the right leg. While you inhale, lift your right arm and bend the right elbow so the hand drops behind the neck, the head. Then take a hold of the elbow with the opposite hand and guide the elbow back, keeping the gaze forward. And on the out breath, starting another side bend with the legs crossed, with the extension into the area of your triceps and the arms. And if you're then really leaning into your side bend, you might acknowledge there's deeper lengthening through the right side. As you inhale, lift the arms, uncross the legs as you come again to stand. We will change sides, so place your right foot into the center, cross the left foot over the front. On the inhale, lifting the left arm, on the exhale, bending the elbow behind the head, and then taking a hold of the elbow. As you're trying to contain the lower ribs, breathe out to pull the elbow back. Feeling the extension through the arm. And on an out breath, then bending sideways on top. You can encourage the hip to move out to increase the length in the left side. And bringing that all the way up the arm. As you next inhale, raise the arms, lower the arms and step your feet apart again onto the mat. We'll come to stand if you aren't already at the front edge of the mat. On the inhalation, lifting your arms and your gaze. Touch the palms, soften your knees, and as you're exhaling, let your hands come down through the midline into a standing forward fold. On the in-breath, lengthen the spine forward, a half lift. On your out breath, stepping your right foot back and also lowering the right knee to the mat, untucking the toes. Let your hands slide back. You can use support under the hands and lift the sole of the foot off the mat. Encouraging forward the ball of the foot. So neither are we fully flexing nor are we pointing, but rather flaunting the foot. It's the ball of the foot that moves out and forward, and you're starting to lower your nose down and becoming quite heavy towards the leg. Hands are down as a support, front leg ideally extended, for half Hanuman or Ardha Hanumanasana. While we're quite active in the leg, this is still a hold. So watching Rajas come back in as a wandering mind, potentially. Releasing the sole of the foot to the mat and the hands framing the foot as you now allow your hips to lean forward, getting a light stretch into the hip flexor area. So keeping everything quite heavy or quite grounded today. Tucking the back toes under as you lift the knee, unless you want to come onto all fours, stepping your foot back for a downward dog. On your in-breath now, roll the spine forward, come into a plank or a kneeling plank. And on the out-breath, keep your elbows by your side and lower down onto the front of your body, resting the forehead down onto the mat. The right arm is reaching out to the front. The left arm is alongside the body. You can keep it as is. You might also choose to bend your left knee. And if you can take a hold of the outer side of the foot or your ankle from the outside, you may do so. I'm asking you to press down into the right hand and the top of the right foot and keep both firmly grounded to the floor. While you might inhale to lift the head, the chest, maybe the knee off the floor, and if you're holding onto your foot, bring the foot into your hand. Keep grounding actively through the straight side of the body and keep that lift of half Dhanur Asana, the half bow pose. Only an option, raising the straight side of the mat as well. Keep reaching forward, and if someone was holding onto your fingers and someone was pulling your toes back, inhale. And as you exhale, release that. Drop your favorite ear to the mat. Let the body ease. Become even heavier. The shoulders softening down into the mat. You will have a glimpse internally at the other state of Rajas, where the heart might be beating down into the mat, where the breath is a little bit faster than comfortable. Centering the head again, let your left arm reach out long in front. The right arm stay by your side. The head is centered as you firmly ground down through the palm of your left hand and the top of your left foot. You might choose to bend your right knee and even take a hold of the foot or the ankle from the outside. Keep grounded through the straight side as you inhale to lift the head, the chest, the knee, and maybe bringing the foot into the hand. Staying active into the ground to lift up right from the floor while keeping the hand, the foot on the mat. And only if that feels good, you can lift them now and reach forward. A gentle pull on the fingers and back towards the toes as you hold. And on the next exhalation, bring your arms again along the side of the body. Change the ear that you're resting down and become heavy again. Light wiggles through the pelvis are welcome, or even a bend of the knees and a little rolling and rocking from side to side to create a release for the lower back and hip area. Then center your head. Plant your hands down by your sides. Inhale, come onto all fours. You're welcome to stay here or tuck the toes under and move up for downward facing dog. Holding the down dog steady as you ground through the hands. And also using all the bases of the fingers and gripping with the pads of the fingers into the mat. The knees are lightly soft, the tail is reaching up and back. On your next breath in, raising your right leg into the air. And with the exhalation, bringing the right knee up. And then landing the foot forward. While you ground the back heel, untuck your toes. The hands can slide a bit back as you lift the sole of the right foot off the ground. Again, come into flaunting, ball of the foot pressing forward. Leg ideally long, and your nose becomes heavy towards the leg. Simply staying here doesn't make it any easier. And allowing yourself to follow each breath as you surrender more deeply towards the leg extension, keeping yourself with your breath in and out. As you next inhale, roll onto the sole of the foot. Adjust the hands to frame the foot and let your hips lean forward. Now we're getting a bit of space into the hip flexors. Then tuck the toes of the left foot under. Raise the knee, inhale. On the exhale, come into standing forward fold. On your inhale, a half lift. Exhaling to bend again. Allow your knees to be bent as you rise up. Take an inhale, extend arms, gaze. Then soften your knees, and as you exhale, draw your hands back down through the midline into standing forward fold. On the inhalation, lengthen the spine for a half lift. And as you're breathing out now, letting your left foot step back into a lunge. Lowering the knee back down into the mat, but now leaving your toes tucked under. And as you inhale, reach your arms out and up. And with the exhale now, wrapping your right arm underneath your left, either to hug your shoulders or to bring the hands together. Let the shoulders soften down. Your elbows be away from the chest, but not really lifted. Steadying your gaze. Either stay here or on your next out breath, rise up for a high lunge instead. You're choosing the high lunge. You may also lift your elbows. Keep a bend in the back knee as you're opening the front body. On your in-breath now, extend your arms. On the out-breath, reach the hands to the mat. Come into downward dog. On the inhale, roll your spine forward into plank or kneeling plank. On the out-breath, lower onto the front of your body, resting the forehead down and lengthening the arms down along the side of the body. 2 rounds of back bending. On the inhale, raise the head, the chest, the legs, and the arms. Hold here, variation of Shalabhasana, the locust. As you reach down towards your toes, back with your fingers, head reaching forward, and yet you're lifted. There's a curve in the back. Aiming to hold for another breath. And then release again. Favorite ear to the mat. Little movement in the pelvis, welcome in any of those pauses after the back bends. It's all that we're moving when the body requires it, a longing for a state of balance. As you center the head again, if this was good for you, you may repeat. If you want to go deeper, you may bend both of your knees, take a hold of your feet or ankles from the outside, but please make sure that your knees are no further than hip distance apart. And if they are, that you rather extend the legs out and let go of your feet. On the next inhale, lifting the head, the chest, the legs, and maybe your feet are bringing back into the hands. Holding here, Dhanurasana, bow pose. On the next out breath, release that, change the ear on the mat, and again, if required, some movements. Just resisting performing any movements that feel unnecessary for the body. So you place your hands again flat down by the sides of your ribs. Inhaling, come on to all fours. Tuck your toes under, and if you like, go all the way to downward dog. Feeling again the groundedness of this shape. Hands, feet holding you. Shoulders open. As you inhale, let your left leg extend up and back. On the out breath, bring your knee forward and then maybe the foot between the hands, or you could lower the back knee down first. But keep your toes tucked under. And as you inhale, reach your arms out and up. On the exhale, then let your left arm wrap underneath your right. Again, an embrace, or the palms touching. Let your shoulders soften down and keep your elbows a little bit away from your chest. A steady gaze, one eye, maybe either side of the hands. Eagle arms. Inhale. Either stay or on the exhale, rise up for a tall standing lunge. There's a bend in your back knee. If you want, raise the elbows, come into that standing lunge back bend. On the inhale, lift the arms. On the exhale, step into a standing forward fold. On the in breath, come to half lift. On the out breath, fold. Bring a bend to your knees and rise up to stand as you inhale. And with the exhale, bring your hands down into the sides of your waist. So you can stay standing where you are. I'm just turning around so you can see me better. Keeping your hands in the side, inhale. On the exhale, bending your knees and your hips. So you're coming into a chair pose, but your hands are in a different position. They're resting in the sides of the waist. I will guide you through. Basically, you could stay here. Everything is optional. Raising of the right heel. Right heel to left thigh. Please do not place your knee onto your heel onto your kneecap. Next option, left elbow to the thigh and chin into the palm of your hand. Last option, other elbow into the palm and the chin into the other hand. Stacked. As you are inhaling, raise your arms, lift your knee. As you breathe out, step the foot back, your hands down and come into downward facing dog. As you inhale, raising the right leg. With the exhale, bring your right knee behind your right hand and that foot over to the left. Then slide the leg out. Now, if you have trouble with your hips or with your knees, you will spontaneously roll down onto your back, step the left foot down, cross the right ankle on top of the thigh, let the knee fall out, That will be your shape to hold, or you can lift the left foot off the floor and hold a reclined half pigeon. I will go back to the other variation. If you're here, the legs is extended back, come to your fingertips and take a deep breath to open your front body. With the out breath then, fold forward. You can rest on the forearms, on the forehead, or you may place a block flat or halfway up underneath the head. The effort that I would ask you to make here, which is more of that Rajasic Guna, is to actually contribute towards grounding by not hanging with tension in your shoulders, by letting your shoulders be soft and at ease. And if this is not possible when you're resting on your forearms, lower down the head, support the head if needed, letting your shoulders melt as you sink into this shape. This is a very static tamasic posture where you might feel quite heavy towards the ground. Allowing yourself to breathe. Noticing if your mind drops into distraction, and aim to pull it back to the idea of feeling grounded and steady. Well, there are multiple other sensations that vie for your attention. Let's step back up onto the forearms and rolling onto the front of your body if you're on your back. Placing your elbows down at about shoulder distance and interlacing your hands. Then tuck your left toes under. Lift the knee and step the foot in just a little. Then ground down actively through your forearms and lift up into your upper back before you step the right leg back into dolphin. If this is too strong, please bring the knees down. The head here is hanging. The spine, the shoulders are extending, no matter whether the knees are on or off the mat, and just holding yourself here. The dolphin provides us with the sense of inversion. The head is low. And hopefully you can relax the neck for a moment. No need to look anywhere, just letting your head be heavy, hang down, the neck lengthening and releasing. Allowing your breath to flow. As you lift the head, stepping onto one hand, then the other, and maybe we end up in a downward facing dog, from where I would ask you to take little steps again towards the front end of the mat. A half lift when you get there on your in-breath, and a standing forward bend on the out-breath. Allow your knees to be soft as you're rising up. Inhale, lifting the arms. And on the exhale, circle them out and bring them again into the sides of the waist. Allow your feet to be parallel as you breathe in. And with the exhale, bending the knees and the hips for your chair. Find the weight sitting underneath your feet. And as you breathe in, lifting your left heel. Again, you're most welcome to stay here or raise your left heel onto your right thigh. Stay away from the kneecap here. No need to go further, but if you like, it's the right elbow to the thigh and the chin into the right hand. Or left elbow into the hand and chin into the left hand. As we find the stack on this side. On the inhale, lifting your arms and the knee. On the exhale, step the foot back, the hands down, and there's our downward facing dog. Again, if you need to roll onto your back, please do so. Otherwise, left leg up, inhale. And exhale, bringing the left knee behind the left hand, the foot across to the right, and the leg extends back. Now we'll quickly demonstrate again on the back. So right foot down here, left ankle to the side, knee dropping out. Perfect to stay, but you may lift the right foot off the floor and hug it in to increase the stretch. If you're on the front of the body, come up onto your fingertips. Open up your heart, your gaze, breathing in. And then with the exhale, lower down, either onto your hands, onto your forearms, or onto the forehead. And you're welcome again to use a block underneath the head. So just soften into the shoulders, letting everything go, melting towards the ground. And noticing within yourself, on this very day, in this very moment, what guna are you leaning towards? Are you quite happy resting here, relaxing into shape? Yes, it might have its challenges, but enjoying this stillness and steadiness, or almost indulging in it? Or do you feel very fidgety? Or the mind is continuously going somewhere else, and maybe even into areas of self-doubt or worry? Just notice and try to balance yourself out, either by following the movement of the breath if you're quite heavy, or by allowing yourself to relax if the mind is quite active or the body is continuously unsteady. Let's come back up onto the forearms and place the elbows to about shoulder distance. As you interlace your hands, change all the fingers on top. Then tuck your right toes under, lift the knee, hop the foot a little bit in. As you become once more strong in the forearms, the upper back is rounding. You can come onto your knees or onto your feet and raise the hips up for a dolphin. We won't hold here for that long, but I'd ask you to come back into the stillness. And if you can extend your legs, this might be beneficial for a moment. But otherwise, you're welcome to drop to your knees. Allow the head again to be heavy, the neck to lengthen out safely. Inhale. As you exhale, let the knees come down. Untuck your toes, walk your arms back and sink into child's pose. Again, the shoulders heavy, arms relaxing. And that space that we just strengthened around the shoulders and upper back, completely at ease. So just as in our lives, when we are learning or trying to understand how we're functioning from a yogic philosophy point of view, this posture is a lovely one as it turns all our awareness inwards. And if you have been observing yourself throughout this practice, you might have found some tendencies of the mind, of the body, states in which we are throughout the day will always keep shifting and changing. But when we take time, for example, like here on the mat, to focus on these gunas and how we are moving between them, we gain a greater understanding and eventually we'll be able to manage ourselves more easily. On your next out breath, slowly curl yourself up into sitting. Please feel free to stay seated on your heels if this is comfortable, but you may also use a block, pop that between and sit on the block if that feels better. Or you could also bring your legs out in front or sit in an easy pose. So the only condition that there is the length in the spine. And I will ask you to rest your hands down. Also notice if you have chosen to touch the legs, which might be a further need of focusing more inward, staying more with the heaviness. Or if you turn your palms up, if you're ready and open for whatever is coming to you. As you choose your position, you could also touch your index and thumbs together, assisting with concentration with the finger mudra. You might choose to close your eyes. Would love to practice a few rounds of Brahmari before coming to the floor. So it's a continuous humming sound. We breathe in through the nose, we keep the mouth closed, and we're humming the breath out until or just before we run out of air, where we then breathe in again and start all over. So no need to wait for me. We'll only go for a few rounds. I will let you know when to finish. Breathing in for the first humming B sound. Just 2 more, resting after. Noticing what this breathing practice of pranayama did for yourself. It could be that you feel the vibrations high up around your head or chest area. It could be that you're feeling the vibrations more towards the earth and the grounding. Nothing is wrong with any of that. Just noticing where your energy sits and vibrates. And allow your eyes to gently open. You may remove your block from underneath and finding your way down into Shavasana. So if you need any warmer clothing, please put that on. If you would like a light cushioning underneath the head, you can have that. You could use a bolster or another cushion underneath the knees if this is where you're at. And as you come into Shavasana, 2 options: feet wide, knees dropping in, or legs long and wide, toes rolling out. I will encourage you for now, but if that's not possible, feel free to place your hands elsewhere, to let the arms roll a little bit away from the body, the palms facing up. And you might just have a gentle walk of your shoulders touching towards the mat to let them ease in. And I quite like to draw my shoulder blades a bit under to get that broadening and the grounding at the same time. And then let everything be steady, be grounded into the mat. And notice again the wandering of the mind when it kicks in. Deliberately saying when and not if. It's so likely that the mind will start to wander. And given the topic of our practice today, you could choose, instead of watching your breath flowing in and out and re-engaging each time that the mind wanders, drawing it back to the practice at hand, you could instead recite silently or even out aloud an English mantra. You could start repeating it after me and then maybe continuing on if it sits right with you. I am alive in stillness. I let things come and go. I am alive in stillness. I let things come and go. I am alive in stillness. I let things come and go. Please continue. Letting go of the mantra. Returning back to the flow of your breath. And gently deepening your breathing. Getting this movement of the breath back consciously, while the body might still feel heavy, and noticing the tendency towards heaviness at the end of your relaxation. How beautifully relaxing it can be. Before you start to move fingers, toes, and maybe even stretching out if that's right for you. And finding your way to join me in a seated pose. Hands touching together at heart center if that resonates with you. Thumbs lightly to the sternum. We will finish with the simple chant of Om, our universal sound, followed by 3 shantis for peace. Let us inhale for the Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. As we connect our own hearts, we're lightly bowing, extending to each other. Namaste.